All right, we got a week before the regular season starts, and I got one more video to make. Roster cuts were finalized yesterday. We basically know everything there is to know about the practice squad now, so let's go ahead. Let's get through this final part of preseason business, and then we can focus on Cincinnati next week. So, roster cuts. I'll just go down the list that I have in front of me. Fullback Nick Bellore, wide receiver Jerron Brown. I'm going to comment on the ones that I think are somewhat notable. Wide receiver Jerron Brown, which was a big surprise because he was in line to probably be the number 2 or number 3 receiver, but a lot of people think we're going to pick him back up again after week 1 because if we sign him after week 1, then his contract becomes non-guaranteed for the rest of the season. So I'm kind of expecting that. He's a decent enough player, but there isn't a big doesn't seem like there's a big market out there for him. He's a middle-aged wide receiver with no particularly special talents, and those guys just aren't hot commodities. But I do expect he's going to be back in Seattle if nobody picks him up. Defensive end Cassius Marsh, he already got picked up by Arizona. Little bit of a surprise, but once we got Clowney, Jadeveon Clowney, a lot of people corrected me on my last video on that. Jadeveon Clowney. And once we heard that Anza and Collier were close, there just wasn't a lot of room for him, so he goes to Arizona. Center, Marcus Martin. Defensive tackle, Jamie Meter, who actually played all right in the preseason. Defensive back, Deshaun Shedd, which is a little bit of a disappointment because he did make a couple plays in the preseason, and he has a track record of being pretty successful in the Seattle defensive system, but there's just not there's nothing really exciting about his potential. He's hit his ceiling easily. Quarterback Geno Smith, who we immediately brought back on a different contract. So we were just trying to move a little money around there. He is the backup. Cornerback Jamar Taylor, a little bit of a surprise there. He looked like he was probably going to make the depth chart, but he gets cut. Jeremy Boykins, cornerback. Linebacker Justin Curry. Quarterback JT Barrett, wide receiver Jazz Ferguson. Kind of disappointing. A little bit of a surprise, especially because Jerron Brown got cut as well, but we'll get to the second half of that in a minute here. Tackle Will Holden. Tight end Jacob Hollister. Little disappointing because we actually traded a draft pick for him, but it also speaks to our confidence in Disley and in Dixon to come back quickly. So, not surprising. Linebacker Jawan Johnson, wide receiver Khalil Lewis, safety Shalom Luani. He had a decent preseason. The defensive backfield for the Seahawks team they have a lot of they had a lot of players in this offseason who were just kind of okay, and I feel like any one of them could be as good as any of the others, with the exception of the big three: Shaquille, Trey, and Bradley. So whenever I see one of those guys get cut, I'm like, ugh, was he really better or worse than Delano Hill or freaking Jamar Taylor or even Tedrick Thompson? But he got cut. Quarterback Paxton Lynch, specialist, running back, return man J.D. McKissick, who got picked up by the Lions, so he's gone. Defensive tackle Earl Mitchell, wide receiver Naquan Murray, tackle Elijah Nikanza, who did not have a good preseason at all. I remember seeing his name way too much. Wide receiver Keenan Reynolds, who has been a bit of a project on the roster for a while, so he's not ready yet. Guard Jordan Roos, failed, I guess it would be a Tom Cable project. Tight end Wes Saxton. Running back Bo Scarborough. Defensive end Logan Tago. Cornerback Simeon Thomas. Guard Landon Turner. Running back Xavier Turner. Tackle Brian Wallace. Wide receiver Terry Wright. And linebacker Jawan Young. Of course, Jacob Martin and Mingo both got traded to Houston. That trade is official. So those are basically the cuts. Now let's get into the practice squad real quick because some of this stuff is important. Jazz Ferguson on the practice squad, so he will be sticking around, and hopefully nobody tries to poach him because he has some special talents, but I'm not surprised that we do not consider him to be ready for NFL action. He's got a lot of holes in his game. Terry Wright and Elijah Nakanza also put on the practice squad. Terry made a big play in that Raiders game. Nakanza, I mean, somebody sees something, but, in the preseason, he was a mess. So I'm glad he's not on the active roster. Jacob Hollister joined the practice squad, so we didn't just lose the draft pick for nothing. In fact, I don't even know if the draft pick becomes an actual thing, given the fact that Hollister didn't make the active 53, but I don't know. This one is exciting, though. Next practice squad player, Ja'Kai Polite. Third round pick of the Jets, who got immediately cut for some reason, but dude was a third round pick, so he's got some talent. There's just something wasn't right in New York. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know the whole story, but Ja'Kai Polite will be on our practice squad, a defensive lineman. Cornerback Simeon Thomas. Guard/center, so interior offensive lineman Kyle Fuller. And Jordan Roos, Khalil McKenzie, both guards, and safety Ryan Neal. So that's your practice squad, 10 guys. Pretty good. We kept some guys who are intriguing prospects. The Ja'Kai Polite thing could be big because that's a third round pick we're just getting to stash for the time being. And maybe there's something really, really wrong with the dude because he got cut so quickly by a team that spent a third round pick on him, but we'll find out. Basically, we'll find out. And it's a nice little practice squad. I'm excited. Final bit of news from yesterday. We traded for a cornerback from the Jets as well. Cornerback Perry Nickerson, which I like. The dude is super fast. He ran like a 4.32 40. He is lightning quick. And he projects to possibly play in the nickel. He did not have a very good, did not score that well on PFF. That's really all I know about his play so far in the NFL. But, a lot of people might look at something like this and go, hey, next Justin Coleman. Justin Coleman was the last guy we pulled in for not much and turned into a really good player for a few years for us. Coleman way exceeded expectations, so we're just hoping Nickerson can do the same thing. So that's probably your nickelback. Final bit of news. Half of Clowney's contract this year is going to be paid by the Houston Texans, which is just, oh my God. If there was anything to complain about with this trade, there is nothing to complain about it now. I mean, my God. We traded 2 roster fodder players and a third-round pick for a good, super talented player in a contract year, and we're only paying him like $9 million, and Houston's paying him $7 or $8 million. So it just gets better and better. I'm ready for the season to start. The more I'm thinking about what this front four could be in October, after they get a chance to acclimate themselves, it could be deadly, and it could be enough for us to actually contend. But we'll find out. So go Hawks. Those are your cuts. I ran them down. Nothing too surprising. Nothing too sad because we kept some of the interesting players on our practice squad. If I had to pick one guy who it would disappoint me if Jerron Brown left, but at the same time, like, we got a lot of young, interesting, talented wide receiver. Maybe it's better to let those guys show their potential instead of playing a guy who has already shown his potential. So Jerron Brown, hopefully hurry back, just in case. Sad about Shed. And interesting keeps. We kept Shaquem Griffin. A lot of people thought he was out, but we kept him and BBK, which a lot of people thought it was going to be one or the other. And Jordan Simmons, guard, who I don't know if he's even going to play this year because of health issues, but a lot of people thought he was going to get cut, but we still like that project, and so do I, so I'm happy we kept him. And that's about it for notable stuff. So I'm going to go on live on Twitch in a minute here, so I'll see you guys there if you want to come watch. Not doing anything too interesting, but you can come hang out and talk to me if you want to. See you guys later. Go Hawks.